It's Greg and Aaron over here at training camp. Wrapped up the day here in pads. Finally got to meet this guy in real life. That's pretty crazy, not looking at you on a screen. I like that.
You're even more handsome in person.
I know. So one thing I really want to get your hottest takes on, because you've been pretty vocal on the podcast about this Punterpalooza, and you've been building up the hype and excitement for it. To me, man, it has not lived up to the hype that you built up around it. You got to see it live for yourself today. What's going on with Punterpalooza 2019?
It was super not good.
Yeah.
Both guys looked pretty terrible. They each had multiple shanks. Eventually, I think Bajorquez was less bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple that were there. He had a coffin corner, legit one. He had one downed inside the 5, but none of them look good. And it's definitely something that I have to assume Bean and his team are keeping their eyes open on the free agent market and on cut-down day. It's certainly not a locked-up position.
Yeah, I was actually pretty annoyed while the punting was going on, because this is the one thing I don't want to talk about all summer, and it looks like we're talking about it a little bit. But I think right now, Bojo, your boy Bajorquez, is up 2-0, I would say, for the day. So I think he has the lead in that, and hopefully that'll shake out as we go along here. You had some interesting tweets about the offensive line in this rotation. Obviously, I was pretty adamant that the starting rotation didn't matter a lot in the first couple days, but it stayed pretty stagnant except for a couple spots. You want to touch on your tweet and what you're seeing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think everyone assumed exactly what you laid out, that, don't worry, it's going to be a rotation. They lean towards veterans early. They really haven't. It's been steady. Every single first-team rep has been Deion Dawkins, Quentin Spain, Mitch Morris. Every single first-team rep has been Cody Ford, even though we gave Ty and Secchi some good money. And then the only rotation has been at right guard, and it's only been John Feliciano and Spencer Long. No Wyatt Teller.
Yeah.
So I think that, one, the fact that Ed Oliver has barely gotten any first-team reps and Cody Ford has gotten every first-team rep, it's now 3 practices in, including the first padded practice. It's hard to think that's nothing. It's hard to think that he is the leader in the clubhouse for the starting right tackle. I think it's hard not to think that.
Now, where do you think that puts a guy like Ty and Secchi, who comes in here? I'm sure that he was told he's going to have a shot to compete for the starting job. That's why he signs in a place like Buffalo after not being the starting guy for years. Where do you think mentally for a guy like that puts him? And where on this roster do you think that puts him? Is he a guy that, as camp goes on, they start looking to move on from because they have another swing tackle in Waddle? Or is this a guy that, hey, he's good enough and we're just going to keep him where he is?
I don't think there's any risk from a roster standpoint, but it is interesting. He's at a different phase in his career than the other guys. So I would say last year, when he was in Washington playing at a reasonably low money deal, then those reps were literally the difference of him getting that paycheck or not. And I don't want to say he's not checked out. He's not going to ever not want to start. But the fact that he already got that money and he's already going to be paid $7.5, $8 million and got a big chunk guaranteed, I have to say personally that probably takes some stress off of him, where if he's just a really highly paid swing tackle, I'm sure he would prefer to start, but I think it's a different phase of his career, the fact that he got that money and now is in that position. I think that's a wonderful luxury when you have a rookie guy at right tackle and a left tackle that you're not 100% certain of. He can play either. So I'm sure he wants to play. I'm sure he wants those reps. I'm sure he will get them.
Yep.
But I think the fact that he got that money already probably takes a little pressure off.
So I'm going to put you real quick before we jump to the next one. On the spot here, right guard. Today's the first day we got to see anything about the offensive line, right? The first couple days, you're not going to get anything in the offensive line. They're pretty much playing at half pace. Today we saw a little bit. Anybody stand out? I know I said, one punter's up versus the other. I didn't really get any change in the competition here, so I'm going to continue to think that's ongoing and that rotation's going to switch. Did you get anything today from these guys?
I mean, the only play that sticks out is the one where Ed Oliver would have lit Josh Allen up when he toasted John Feliciano. So, I mean, the only play that we noticed from a defensive line standpoint was a -1 for Feliciano. So, I mean, I guess that's not nothing.
Yeah.
They're not really going full go. The players standing around kind of blocked the view of the one-on-one rep, so we only got to see kind of a partial view of that. So I think it's very early. I think you have to assume the fact that Feliciano got first-team reps the first and third day. He's probably a half inch ahead. He's 51% to Spencer Long's 49%, but way early in that race.
Yeah. And now another guy that you have been on record countless times all over Twitter, John Brown, wide receiver 1, that's your guy. I didn't buy it, but the last 2 days that I've been here, he is clearly the guy right now on this team. wide receiver that's getting open consistently. Josh Allen is starting to find a little bit of chemistry with him over anybody else right now. Cole Beasley's there too. He's doing some cool things, but not to the level right now that John Brown has started this camp off with. Is this a sign of this guy was a good wide receiver, just in a few bad positions, and he's going to resurrect himself here, or is he just starting to come?
I think that there is kind of a hidden gem element to it, that every time he's had a good run with a strong arm, deep ball quarterback, like when Carson Palmer was healthy in Arizona, like when Joe Flacco was the starter in Baltimore, he's flourished and has been on a 1,100 to 1,300 yard pace.
Yeah.
When that quarterback gets hurt or he gets replaced by a running back, they pretend to be a quarterback in Baltimore, he has fallen off.
Yeah.
So I think that there's still that potential and that he's always had the possibility of being that kind of talent. Now, wide receiver one is relative. I think that he's more talented than any receiver we've had here in a while. He's not your Julio Jones or your, Mike Evans kind of stereotypical guy, but you can see here, even against Trey White, who's the most talented guy on our roster, he lit him up a couple times in some of those plays. His feet, quickness, and explosion, ability to separate is going to be such a welcome change to here that I think he's going to be our version of a wide receiver one, even if it's closely knit between those four guys and who we have in our wide receiver room.
In the last 2 days, it was talked up a lot that he's more than just a deep threat guy, right? He's a guy that can get over the middle, and we saw that. But today, what really stood out to me was his tracking ability on the deep ball. I've been to a lot of these practices, and I haven't seen tracking like that. It was something that Robert Foster struggled with last year in training camp, and that's what kept him off the field for quite a bit of time. Is with Josh Allen, you got to have a guy that can track the ball. And there was one play where we saw him track. It was almost a 180-degree track and bring the ball in. So that skill, we talked a lot about how he's more than just that, but he is that at the end of the day. And I think that's what gets me the most excited about having him on the field with Josh Allen is he's the only guy I've seen with Allen so far in his professional career that can track a ball anywhere on the field.
And that skill set that, I know people get carried away about what they think catch radius means. And to a lot of guys, catch radius means I'm Kelvin Benjamin. I can stretch my arms out this far. On a deep route, John Brown's catch radius is the fact that it doesn't matter if you're off from here and have to pivot all the way over here while running full speed, while looking over your shoulder. That's catch radius.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can now give Josh Allen a broader range to still complete a pass that isn't spot on or is in the general vicinity is such a valuable tool. So I'm really excited to see how that translates in real games.
So let's swap over to the defense here. We'll wrap this up a little bit because the defense is the cornerstone of this team. We know that this defense is going to be good. I don't like to get myself too excited. I'm always telling everyone to pump the brakes. I'm starting to get really, really excited, especially by the play of the cornerbacks, because I think that competition for the cornerback, too, with E.J. Gaines and Kevin Johnson is really going to heat up here the next couple of weeks. And you see Taron Johnson coming right back in where he left off. If that defensive backs, and we talked about in one of our podcasts, if they can even take a step above where I thought they would be, E.J. Gaines is picking up right where he left off here in Buffalo. If he can stay healthy, man, that's got me really excited. What on the defense is standing out to you so far?
I think it's exactly what you touched on, that it's not, in the past, we've had to figure out, okay, who's the least of a liability? Who's the lesser of the problems we have? Cornerback 2 is going to be a problem no matter what. Who's the problem? This year, it's guys legitimately one-upping each other and making plays, and then the next guy making a play, and the next guy making a play, and it's going to be, holy crap, no matter who we choose, how are we going to keep E.J. Gaines or Levi Wallace or Kevin Johnson on the bench? So I can't wait to see how they keep a healthy rotation, be able to keep those guys moving. I don't know that there's going to be an outright winner that just all of a sudden slots in at 99% of the snaps. I think there's going to be some movement in there, and then maybe a guy carves out 60 or 80%, but I actually think there's going to be some movement to keep guys fresh, engaged, and again, all three guys have had somewhat of an injury history, so that's been awesome to see. And then the movement and the how many times did we kind of comment under our breath or comment to each other, oh, Jordan would have lit him up there, oh, he would have picked that off. The safeties know where to be on every play.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how in tune they are, how well they communicate together, and the fact that we're about to see the third year where Trey White, Jordan Poyer, and Micah Hyde have been talking together in the same defense with the same defensive coordinator, and now really being able to make it instinctual, not having to stop and think and just react and let themselves kind of play to their true potential. Could be really exciting.
Yeah, one really cool thing about being at training camp, and Eric will probably be able to explain it to me on the car ride home a little bit better, but yesterday we saw, I think it was Micah Hyde was playing deep safety pretty much all day yesterday, or no, other way around. Hyde was in the box, Jordan Poyer was deep safety. Today, you saw the opposite primarily. And that ability for them to just be interchangeable like that is unbelievable. And it took me being here. I see it in Eric's posts and stuff, but it takes you being here and being able to really see that, wow, that is totally, completely interchangeable, and they can do that every other day. And that sends confusion over to Josh Allen for sure.
It's funny, a fan asked me, oh, well, who's the strong safety and who's the free safety? And I genuinely had to take him. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I guess technically Poyer's the strong safety. I don't know. I don't even know how that would work because they play each other's roles so often, and that versatility is awesome.
Yeah, we didn't see any change in linebackers. That's fine. We never expected to see any real change there. We did see some rotations and stuff on the defensive line. Obviously, Ed Oliver's not getting first-team reps. Jordan Phillips continues to do that. Yeah, he's eating some humble pie. He did get out there for a handful of reps and had an almost sack on Allen. So when he's getting the reps, he's going out and showing himself off. But what are we seeing at the rotation on the defensive end? It's something we talked about in the stands, and I think that fans want to hear that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I will say, I know we've debated a lot, especially that fourth defensive end spot. So obviously it's starting out, the front line is exactly who you'd expect. You have Jerry Hughes every single rep. You have Star Latuile every single rep. Jordan Phillips is the starting D tackle. They're bringing in Ed Oliver here and there. They're obviously, you commented a lot. Every chance McDermott has to humble Ed Oliver, he's going to take it. Trent Murphy got every single first-team rep at the other defensive end, and then Shaq was definitively the second one. But the part we took interest in was who was there in that fourth defensive end, and I had been lobbying for Eli Harold, and I know you're a big fan of Eddie Yarborough. Mike Love got every single rep. It was Mike Love over and over again.
And Daryl Johnson a little bit.
Yeah, Daryl Johnson rotated in. They had a phase later on where it was genuinely 1 versus 1, first-team offense versus first-team defense, and they had your next guys there who would rotate in, and Yarborough wasn't there. Daryl Johnson wasn't there. Nobody else was there except Mike Love, ready to rotate in. So obviously he's a half notch ahead of those guys for that last roster spot from the 8th defensive lineman.
Yep. So this is my last day at camp. I know you guys are going to be here tomorrow. So where can people find you to get all your beautiful content?
Yeah, come and find me at Greg Tompsett, GregTompsett. We're tweeting out everything we can. Can't lie, the phone gets hot, so it's kind of hard to keep tweeting as the day goes. It's real hot out here, but we'll keep sending the best stuff out while we're seeing it.
And even though I won't be here, you can find me at Aaron Quinn 716 and find all of our content. Eric is tweeting out some gems at practice. So if you don't already know, it's Cover1 at Cover1_1_. Find us on all your social media. Just look up Cover1. You guys are smart. You'll find it. Find us, follow us. Make sure you head over to the premium subscriptions. Get on that now. Now's the time to get on that, guys, because you get it for the full season, so it won't come up again until next year. So make sure you get on that, and then when you get back into town, we'll have the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get back to the regular show.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the day.